This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are back, baby. Hialeah Park. We're getting ready for the weigh-ins today. Fights on Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cameron Wolfe is ready to join us. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Press conferences. Weigh-ins. Yeah, that's right. Press conferences today. I'm sorry. Weigh-ins are on, what is it, Thursday, right? Right. Yeah, Thursday. That's right. Thursday is the weigh-ins, right? Today's the press conferences. I'm getting too excited about it. What can I love freaking boxing, dude. I'm so happy that we're going to have it. And to see all these young boxers, and there's going to be one or two stars in this group that are going to end up shining. All right, let's talk to our star that shines here twice a week, and his name is Cameron Wolfe with our Fort Lauderdale Police Department Miami Dolphins report. How you doing, Cam? You feeling good? You looking good?
I'm feeling good, Big O. Just got done a workout for starting my week, starting day off right. So I'm feeling great. You mentioned boxing. I love boxing too. So we're all on the same page with that too.
What are you doing Friday night, bro?
I'm actually going down to Mobile, Alabama, man. I got an assignment this week.
Okay.
So there's an HBCU combine they're having down there this weekend to kick off right before the Senior Bowl. So I'm be doing some TV coverage out there for the HBCU combine right before things kick up for Senior Bowl.
We'll start going back to the Senior Bowl next year. We're gonna get that kind of stuff going next year as we finish off all the business stuff that we're doing down here for the show. And we got a big Dolphin show coming that you'll be a part of.
Yes, sir.
That'll be finalized this week, man. That thing's gonna be that's gonna be the biggest Dolphins event for media that this town has ever had. And
looking forward to it.
It's going to be a monthly event, and it's at one of the hippest places in South Florida. It's going to be one of the coolest places in South Florida. So it's going to look great. It's even going to look good on camera, although that's Sean's job to make it look good on camera. So it is what it is.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it, man. It should be fun.
All right. So what are we hearing? I laugh when I start. They start telling me, well, people aren't going to take this job because Greer's lame duck, and I'm like, come on, man, this is ridiculous. Let's go. Let's get into reality now. So, what are we hearing, my man?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's going to be some choices that are going to be made this week. I think the first two names that really Dolphins fans should pay attention to is Brian Daboll and Dan Quinn. Those are two guys they both interviewed. Both of those guys have a lot of interest across the league. And from what I understand, Dan Quinn is a big favorite in Denver. And it's really up to him if he ends up wanting that job. That's not final, but that's something to watch out for. If he takes that job, that could be a domino leading to Daboll, which I'm sure everybody's seen. Daboll has been talking with the Giants. Miami also discussed with him. The Giants have a good connection with his GM. The GM they just hired there, Joe Schoen, was with him in Buffalo. So he's considered the favorite right now in New York for that job. And if he takes that job, then eliminates two candidates off the Dolphins list that they were interested in. So that kind of slims the list for them. So those are the two names I think Dolphins fans should watch. The Dolphins doesn't seem like there's anything imminent from what I'm hearing. I don't think you should expect to hire in the next couple of days. From what I understand, they're going to have a second round of interviews as well at some point. They're going to have some sort of finalist list, whether that's 2, 3, 4. And the expectation that I've heard from some of the people close to candidates is they're expecting some sort of second round candidate list decided, sometime this week. So that's the latest. I can't tell you for sure, Big O, who's going to get hired. I'm not going to come here and lie to you. But I do think those are two names to watch. And then if you don't get to those names, I know the name that's been stirring Dolphins fans a lot, Vance Joseph. He's definitely a guy that's still in the mix for them. That's real. I don't know if I go as far as saying he's the front runner at this point, but I'd say that interest is real from Chris Grier, from people in that front office. And, that's something to watch as well. So those are the three guys, I think, the big names to watch. If you're looking for a dark horse, or dark horses, Mike McDaniel's a popular media name that a lot of people have loved. He interviewed here. He interviewed via Zoom. And obviously, if they bring him back for a second interview in person, that would show you that they're really interested in him. The question is he ready to lead an organization at this point? We know he's a very smart X and O guy, an offensive mind? Is he ready to lead, an organization? That's the big question that he has to answer. And I'm not sure if he answers it this year, next year, but there's a lot of hope on him long term for being a head coach. And one that hasn't been mentioned much, Thomas Brown, is a guy that they interviewed on Friday. I'm told that he interviewed really well. They were impressed by him. Doesn't mean that he's going to be hired, but that means that he's a guy that's going to continue. You'll see the next couple of years if he doesn't get this job to rise. I would be surprised to see him get an OC job this offseason if things change in the Rams situation. So he's a name that hasn't been ruled out yet. I heard that he got some rave reviews from Greer and some of the people in the organization there. So that's definitely a name to continue to watch. So that's sort of my long spill on where we are with the coaching search. And as we had the last couple of weeks, we just wait to see when the Dolphins narrow down their choices.
We're not hearing the names Caldwell, Peterson, Del Rio, those kind of established guys. We're actually almost not hearing it almost anywhere pretty much.
Yeah.
What are you hearing about Caldwell?
So Jim Caldwell, the spot to watch for him is definitely Chicago. I think I told you last time we were on, he's a big Bill Polian guy, and Bill Polian is a big part of that search going on in Chicago. So I believe they're going to have a second round of interviews too, now that they're narrowing down their GM candidate. That's another team that wants to hire their GM first and then do the true, second round of coaching searches. So Jim Caldwell is a name that I know Bill Polian loves. They're going to have to see whoever they hire as a new GM. Does he love Jim Caldwell? But I'd say that the Chicago Bears job is probably the best chance that Jim Caldwell has to get a job. I haven't heard much from Del Rio, and honestly, Doug Peterson was a name everybody was thinking was going to be a guy who got a job this cycle, and we just have not heard his name at all, really. I think Jacksonville was the only place that he kind of bubbled up at, and from what I understand, it's a little bit more on the Byron Leftwich and Matt Eberflus as two guys to watch for that Jacksonville gig rather than Doug Peterson. So you may look at a situation where Doug Peterson doesn't get a head job this offseason, no for Del Rio, and if Jim Caldwell doesn't get the Chicago job, all three of those guys cannot get a head coach job, which would be a surprise, if you told us that 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'm not a Peterson guy because, some of the things I heard about him losing the locker room, that's kind of why I wasn't. I'm wondering if that's what's lingering with him. And speaking of lingering, so after everything that was talked about, what happened with Flo, dude?
Right. I mean, he's still in the mix for the New York Giants gig. Like I said, Brian Daboll is the favorite, but he's not ruled out there. He's going to interview this week. I was told that he's interviewing Thursday for that job. So he's
do you really think he's a candidate for that job?
I think he's a candidate. I don't know if he's
down inside. Do you really think they're looking at him to hire him?
I know for a fact the owner is fond of Flores. So, he's going to have some questions to answer in those interviews. We've talked about it here. He's going to have to answer questions about can he hire an offensive staff. He's going to have to answer questions about what happened in Miami. And those are going to be the two big questions he's going to have to answer in interviews. He already did the Chicago interview. I'm sure they asked him. I wasn't in that interview, but I'm sure they asked him those two questions. So he's got to have good answers. I don't know what his answers are, but he's got to have good answers for those questions. But there are still people around the league that believe that Flores is a good head coach, and they feel like that whatever happened in Miami, they don't feel like it'll happen where they are. So I don't know that he gets hired for sure this offseason, but I believe Brian Flores is going to be a head coach sooner than later, just because of how people in the league still view him as a program builder and as a guy who can get the best out of players on the field.
All right, so your former stomping grounds, have they learned their lesson? Will they be dumb enough to continue thinking that Ryan Tannehill will put them over the top, or will they continue to ruin the best years of Derrick Henry's career? So I'm just wondering, what are you hearing in Tennessee? Maybe it might be a little too early for that decision, but that talk has got to be going on in that building.
Well, Mike Vrabel did a lot of shielding of Ryan Tannehill after the game. There was a lot of forks out for Ryan Tannehill because, let's be frank, he was the reason they lost that game. You can say, hey, there was tip passes, and there were tip passes, and there's a story for every interception. But your quarterback throws 3 interceptions in a game where your defense has 9 sacks, pretty much hold that Bengals offense in check, and you don't win. That's on the quarterback. So the problem they have in Tennessee is that his 2022 contract is guaranteed, and they've already paid him a big signing bonus. So they're contractually tied to Ryan Tannehill for 2022. So they could obviously go out and draft a quarterback and develop them and say, hey, whenever you're ready, you can take over. But they can't. They're not going to cut Ryan Tannehill. Maybe they get somebody to trade for him, but given what we just saw, I don't know what the trade market would be for Ryan Tannehill at this point, unless they're going to eat a lot of money. So I think you're looking at a situation where he comes back in 2022 as a Titans QB, whether Titans fans like it or not, and maybe that's the make or break year for him. Maybe that's when they draft a quarterback, finally get him some competition, and try to transition in 2023. But the Titans are at a very precarious spot because they've been in the playoffs. The last 3 seasons, they're right on the brink. They just can't get over the hump. They were the number 1 seed this year. Derrick Henry is a beast, but you have to wonder how long is he going to continue to be at the Derrick Henry level he is. And their defense has been really good as of late, but soon those guys are going to want to get paid. So they really have a window of maybe the next year or two where they really have to capitalize and
Wow,
win.
that's terrible.
Can you do that with Ryan Tannehill? That's a big offseason question.
That is just terrible. All right. X, where does he get traded to? Because he's going to get traded.
All right. So we talk about this every time we come on. I am not
hey, that's all right. Listen, all of you that I bring on, every one of you, I kept telling you Flo's going to get fired, and
right.
it's the same thing. It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
You were right. So I'm not saying you're wrong about X. I'm saying I am on record. I'm telling people right now, I am on record that I do not like the idea of trading Xavien Howard.
That's not the point. that has nothing to do with it. You're avoiding the point. Will he get traded or not, and where does he get traded? It's not whether you want him or not. We all know that you're a better team if you have him on there, but there's also baggage that comes with it and risk that comes with it. So let's get to reality now. Reality is, I believe he's out the door. They're going to trade him at one point or another. Do you believe he will get traded or not? And where could he get traded?
So if they make the big mistake of trading Xavien Howard,
there we go. There we go.
Then I think a lot of it's going to depend on who their new head coach is and what he kind of views as it. But if they do go around that path, and I would not be shocked. You mentioned a lot of the reasons that make sense. He's making a lot of money. He's getting older. He has knee issues.
You can't keep everybody if you keep those.
You can't keep everybody. So I would not be shocked by the reasoning. I would rip the move. Best believe I'd rip the move, but I would not be shocked by the reasoning. And so there were definitely talks over the last couple of years about X being traded. That has been real. I know the Dolphins tried to throw water on that. Whether it's another team initiating talks and the Dolphins saying no, that's not enough, or the Dolphins. To me, that doesn't really matter. To me, there were talks. And Xavien obviously asked for a trade before he got the new deal done. There's going to be money questions again this offseason. So I definitely think there's going to be a conversation about trading X. The question is, they're going to want probably a first round pick minimum as a value for him. They feel like he's a top 5 corner in the league. And so you're going to have to ask another team to pay the same reasons that you're talking about trading them. You're going to have to ask another team to pay his deal, what he wants to be paid, deal with his needs, and deal with his age and the way that you're doing with it. So that to me is going to be, do you just get rid of X for a value? If you don't get a first round pick, do you just get rid of X for a second round pick? What do you do in that situation? I mean, when you look at teams who are playing that aggressive defense that love to ball hawk. Baltimore's a team that, had interest in him at the deadline. I could see them having interest again in him, pairing him with the Marcus Peters or the Marlon Humphreys, depending on what's going on there, and solidifying that cornerback group. That wouldn't shock me if we're looking at potential options. Depending on what happens and with J.C. Jackson, whoever misses out on that, he's the big fish in free agency. If he leaves New England, maybe New England tries to go after X. If he leaves, if he goes somewhere, if he stays in New England, whoever misses out on J.C. X will probably be the best cornerback on the market. So I don't think
there's no way the Dolphins are trading X to the Patriots.
To New England. No way.
Not in the division, period.
Right.
At all.
So that's why I'm saying Baltimore would be the team that I would circle. Dallas, before they got Trayvon Diggs, was definitely a team to watch. I'm not sure now if they still have as much interest, but they had interest in X before. So that would be a team that, you might be able to bring back to the table. And a team that's still in the playoff, the 49ers, they're a team that's built, they could use one more of those cornerbacks. So those are probably the 3 names I would probably call if they were trying to make that move to move X, which, by the way, I am not a fan of.
And no, a lot of people aren't going to be fans of it. I know that part, but I also know what the reality is, and the reality
Right.
is that's been brewing, and if it wasn't for Flo, I don't think he gets his money last year.
That might be right. That might be right. I think there was a very hard line drawn in the sand, and I don't know if Xavien Howard plays this year if he didn't get that correction. And like I said, you love Noah, but I think that
No,
Flores'
no, no,
decision
no, no,
to
no,
give him
no,
that
no,
money
no,
was
no, no.
watching Noah
I
and
don't
saying
love
that
Noah. I
I
don't
want
know
to win.
anything. I don't know anything about Noah, but the problem is you invested a first rounder. So you have to find out if he can play or not. You have no choice. You made that investment. It's like the
Yeah,
Trey Lance thing. That's what's going on. You know how they're talking about, well, if Garoppolo wins, they're going to trade him or they're going to trade him at the end of the year no matter what. Why? Because San Fran made that commitment. So now that they made their bed, they have to lie in it and they have to go find out if Trey Lance can play or not. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And the Dolphins made their bed. They drafted Noah, and they drafted Noah with the idea that he would be one of those guys to replace down the line. Well,
right.
time has come now, and they're probably going to have to sign some veteran corner somewhere.
Hmm.
Start Noah, and if Noah can't do it, the veteran corner will take over at that point. But I'm pretty sure they're going to trade X because if they want to sign Ogba and Needham and Mac Hollins and all these guys, plus go somewhere in against go get some offensive line in free agency, yeah, they have 70 million, but bro, at one point or another, you're gonna have to, free up some money to do all those things. That's why I think X is the one that's movable and the one that brings back picks in
Right,
return. You know what I
right.
mean? So that's why, unfortunately, it's a tough decision that you have to make. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I like Noah, it's just that they put themselves in this position now. Now they've got to find out
So,
if
so
they can play or not.
Right, and I understand that, and maybe there is some way to get him on the field, but I'm a believer. You don't, there's sunken cost sometimes. If you find out a guy that simply can't play and you missed on it, you don't try to, continue to play it and sink those costs even further just because you want to prove yourself right. So,
Yeah.
we've seen some of, it's not like we haven't seen him on the field. Yeah, we've seen him on the field, and it hasn't been pretty. Yes, we haven't seen a lot of them, but I'm just not certain. Maybe in year three, I think honestly, we talk about coaching staffs here. I think that they have a really good DB crew and Gerald Alexander and Charles Burke and honestly Flores as a coach, Josh Boyer, all those guys are DB coaches at heart. And if for 2 years those guys haven't been able to get much out of Noah, I'm not sure what changes with a new guy or new guys in that building. Maybe it all clicks in year three. I'm just not convinced that when you have a bunch of DB specialists who drafted him because they thought they can develop him, if he's still not developed going into year three, what all of a sudden changes with throwing him out on the field?
Well, he hasn't played in games. He needs to play games. He actually has to be in that position. The practice doesn't help, and the fact that he has two guys in front of him doesn't help. So you've got to throw him to the wolves at one point or another to find out if he can sink or swim. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You might as well. And listen, I can also go back at you the other way. The guys in the front office are all the guys that found X and Nick Needham and
Mm-hmm.
and Fitzpatrick and Holland and so they're the ones that draft and pick and who's the kid they cut last year which was their fifth round pick from a couple years ago. What's his name?
Curtis Weaver.
No, the DB, the classy kid that moved over to safety. What's his name, bro? The slot. McCain, Bobby McCain, another guy they drafted.
Oh, yeah,
You know
he's
what
a
I'm saying?
vet. You said that he drafted a couple years. McCain's
Yeah,
was 2014.
yeah, they drafted him a few years back. Yeah, but what I'm
Got
saying
you.
is the people that were in that front office are the ones that have kind of picked all these DBs, anyways.
Right.
So maybe there's something there with Noah. You know what I mean? I don't know. The guy hasn't played at all. I'd like to find out if he can. I'm just saying the reality is X is gone. Whether you like it
Okay.
or not, it's something they have to do. It's a scab they have to tear. And here's the other thing. You know it and I know this. Those knees are ticking time bombs, bro. You just
I'm
you
willing to
just
go
don't
down
have
with the
that
ship.
many scopes and
Well,
then
I hey
there's no
oh
repercussions, you know?
clearly this is where we agree to disagree on X. I'm willing to go down with the ship. If his knees break down sometime next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I'm willing to go down when he goes down because he's been my best player on the team for the last 3
I
or
got
4
you.
years, and
Makes sense.
that's just the way I see it. So I
Makes
get
sense.
it. I understand you're always looking forward, but I've seen, like I told you before, the Dolphins bet against him a couple years ago when they drafted Noah. They were wrong. I'm not going to bet against him again. That's just my take on
Well,
it.
that was a domestic issue that was tied. That was different. Also, that was something else. Also, that they were worried
Right,
about.
but
Knee
that
and
that was that was a
it
part
was a
of it. But
double
the
whammy
knees,
that year.
the knees were the bigger part of it. The knees were
Yeah,
the bigger thing of why they drafted Noah.
yeah, yeah. There's no doubt about that. It makes all the sense in the world what you're saying, and you should be pissed if they trade him. But that's the reality. All right,
Yeah,
follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe. Where you go? You traveling to this week, or are you
yeah.
home again?
So I'm not on the game this week. Once Titans got eliminated, that was the end of my playoff run, most likely. So
Okay.
I'm going to be in Mobile this week, starting Thursday here for the HBCU Combine, and then early next week I'm actually going out to Vegas to do some Pro Bowl coverage. So I'll be out
Nice.
there doing some Pro Bowl out there. So yeah, got a lot of trips coming up the next 2 or 3 weeks, but no more playoffs for me.
I like it. I like it. All right, follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe. Cam, thank you for taking some time. We'll catch up on Thursday.
Absolutely appreciate you, man.
You got it, baby. All right, there you go. The great Cameron Wolfe. Love it. Love it.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.